Eddie Yeranian. Eddie Yeranian, our man in the Middle East, live in Cairo, Egypt. Eddie, great to have you, man. Thanks for your patience.
My pleasure, John, as always.
Now, Ed, are you doing social distancing in Cairo in Egypt? Tell us what's going on there. Describe the scene.
We have a curfew overnight from 7 p.m. in the evening to 6 a.m. in the morning. I am a journalist, so I'm able to go out in the morning even though there is a curfew. I do go out early. There are practically no vehicles when I go out at about 5:10 in the morning, and the only real things I'm seeing are dogs in the street. A couple of them came up to me this morning, and I gave them some cat food, and they seem to be okay with that. The bridge into the city is not opening until like 5:45. Even the vegetable trucks had to wait in line to get into the city. The worry, of course, is that by causing the economy to collapse, they're going to do a lot more damage than this virus could do. And there's also a lot of a sense among the medical professionals I've spoken with, people that I know, that there is some sort of residual immunity in Egypt due to the fact that a similar coronavirus, came through this way in 2003. And a lot of people probably still have an immune system that will resist this new virus.
Really? Is that real?
You know, I couldn't verify that, but Egypt is not exactly coming down with the virus in huge numbers. It's certainly a bit worrisome. The numbers have gone up. I think yesterday they said there were 69 new cases, but this is a country with 100 or 105 million people. And those cases, a number of them have really proven to people have gotten better. A lot of people have gotten better. There aren't a lot of casualties, people dying from it. So even if people are getting the disease, there must be some sort of immune system reaction to it, which I obviously couldn't verify. I'm just saying that off the top of my head, and that's what doctors have told me. But I'm sure they couldn't prove it either.
Well, you know what's interesting? There's one government in the world, which is Brazil. I know it's South America's far removed from your post, Eddie, but this is pretty interesting. President Bolsonaro, who many people call the Trump of the tropics, has called the virus a measly cold, and he's the only major world leader continuing to question the merits of lockdown measures to fight this pandemic, and he's not done anything. He said, I'm not going to shut my economy down. I'm not going to have people thrown out on the unemployment line and starving. And he says God is Brazilian. He told a throng of supporters in a rally he had last night, and he said the cure is right there, and he pointed up to heaven. And yet Brazil's numbers have not spiked. You know, they're kind of like everybody else's. So I guess Brazil now becomes the control, right, of this massive shutdown. You know, when you do a test and you have the control group, right? So Brazil is like the control, and their economy's, firing away, and there's no there isn't anything. All he said is, look, wash your hands and don't touch your face.
Personally, I agree with him, and I would have said the same thing, but I would get booed out of my position here, whatever that is. I would be in a minority position of one, probably. I think the Egyptian health minister is listening to the UN World Health Organization. The chap who runs that is from Ethiopia. Ethiopian friends have told me that he's not exactly a good guy. He's got his hands dirty with a number of things when he was a minister in Ethiopia of health. And he's got close ties to Bill Gates. He's got close ties to China, which are not good signs in this crisis, given that there's a lot of speculation as to who is doing what in this virus spread or whatever is happening.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Brazil, because not only is he not shutting anything down, he's like mocking the other governments. So I mean, he's either going to be seen as a tremendous leader who bucked the world trend, or there's going to be, as Steve Bannon said, body bags in cul-de-sacs in Brazil, and the death toll is in the millions, and he gets ridden out of office, and he goes down in history as scourge of Brazil. I guess there's one way or the other, right? We're going to find out. Eddie Yeranian with us. Eddie, I want you to just comment again on what you think is going to happen there. Just what does your instinct say?
Here is my worry, and it's all anecdotal,
right.
And I can't prove any of it. But I have seen on the internet in Libya someone who is a doctor in a Muslim Brotherhood enclave near Tripoli saying that he will have to hide his joy when the virus spreads to eastern Libya. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood people in Tripoli are they're fighting a war with the army in the east of the country. So while this is a bit complicated to explain, the fact that he was saying that when the virus spreads rather than if the virus spreads seems to suggest that maybe he has some knowledge that it's going to spread and that somebody is out there actively spreading it. And that's the sense I got from the Egyptian powers that be, that they're worried that someone is actively spreading this thing, and they must have gotten word of it or they wouldn't have acted as forcefully as they did. And that's the one fudge factor. Perhaps no one in Brazil is actively trying to spread it because Brazil is not one of the targets on their list. But once again, this is all speculative, and this is the sense I got talking to the Egyptian retired military people and whatever. They have the sense that someone is actively trying to spread this. Now, how would they be doing that? Who would be doing that? And as I said, this Muslim Brotherhood doctor in Libya, the fact that he said that when the virus starts to spread suggests that maybe they're one of the vectors that are trying to spread this. Now, they're people who are connected together for whatever reasons, political reasons, ideological reasons. They have ties to the same people, the same countries, the ones that are in lockdown, perhaps. God knows why they're all in lockdown. But there is this worry that someone is actively spreading it. How would they be doing that? I don't know. I mean, people I've bounced this off of said, could they be trying to do it with drones? Could they be trying to do it in the water supply? I think the Egyptian government was concerned about the water supply because initially they told people not to go in the swimming pool, and they also shut the city water down here in Cairo for a couple of days in order, I guess, to purify it and make sure it was clean. So certainly those were worries going through their mind, even though it's not something you can prove, and it's difficult to say who would be doing the spreading if somebody was doing it.
Okay, so your thesis here, or hypothesis, or conjecture, Eddie Yeranian. We're with Eddie Yeranian, veteran CBS correspondent, radio correspondent, veteran analyst with the Voice of America, and with the John Fredericks Show, a man in the Middle East. So, Eddie, your conjecture is that is the coronavirus being spread across the Middle East, actively being spread in order to destabilize governments, which could benefit the Muslim Brotherhood? Is that what you're throwing out?
Yes, that's what I've heard as a possible scenario from people here. Once again, I can't prove it. Once again, it's speculation. But that anecdotal evidence from Libya told me a lot. Seeing someone, a Muslim Brotherhood guy in Libya, saying when the virus spreads to eastern Libya. Now, I can't imagine how he would know the virus would be spreading unless someone were out there spreading it. And how would they be spreading it? I don't know. They've got a lot of drones flying over Libya. Of course, the one fudge factor here, why this might not work, this scenario, if it's true, maybe it's not true, is that the heat, according to a number of doctors I've spoken to, seems to start killing off the virus. That was their experience in 2003 when the initial coronavirus outbreak, pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, hit Egypt. And in Sudan, which is even warmer than Egypt, they've had only 6 cases up until now. So clearly the fact that it's hot has an effect on this virus. I'd say that's an obvious effect, and friends in Ethiopia have told me the same thing. There aren't a lot of cases in Ethiopia, and things are not locked down as much as in other countries there either. So the heat apparently, anecdotally, has some sort of effect on the virus.
So let's bring on global warming, right? Now I hope Al Gore is right. Let's bring on the heat, baby. Let's bring on global warming, Al Gore. We need it now more than ever to get rid of this virus. Right, Eddie? Bring it on.
I would say so. I mean, I've seen Western doctors talking about, on the internet, of course, the fact that the sun and the heat kills the virus if it's in your sinal passages. So, I mean, those are Western doctors saying that.
Okay, so those are why all of the millennials in Florida that went to the beach on spring break never got sick, right? And remember that everybody was complaining about it, and they were raking Florida Governor DeSantis over the coals for not closing the beach down. But nobody's gotten sick. Nobody could figure it out. Well, they didn't get sick because they're lying on the beach sunbathing, and the sun is killing the virus. So maybe DeSantis was onto something. Maybe we ought to be open the beaches up and let everybody just sit there and get it burned out of them. Maybe we got this thing ass backwards.
Yes.
This is.
I think we do.
There's only one Ed Yeranian. Okay, so this is what we've covered here with Ed, our man in the Middle East, in 15 minutes. By the way, they're the global do-gooders. They're tapping your phone right now, Ed, and there's going to be hell to pay for not towing the globalist WHO World Healthcare's organization of the Chinese communist government. They're going to be hell to pay for you, Ed, after this. So here's what Ed has said today. He's asked the question, and I said earlier, you got to ask questions. He's asked the questions. Is the Muslim Brotherhood spreading the virus in the Middle East to destabilize governments so that they're in a better political position? First thing he asked. Second thing he asked is, how come nobody in Ethiopia is sick? And some scientists are now saying that the sun and the heat is killing the virus. So why don't we reopen the beaches, give everybody, instead of $1,500, send them 2 bottles of suntan screen and go out and lie on the beach and get rid of the virus? You could be onto something.
Well, here's the worry, of course, with that. If there are malicious forces that are trying to spread this wherever, even in the U.S., they could continue to spread it while people were doing that, and maybe the sun would not come to our rescue quickly enough for their plans to be foiled. Now, here in the Middle East, summer is coming upon us very quickly. It was a very nice, warm, sunny day here in Egypt, yesterday as well. So I think we're going to start seeing those cases tapering off. Of course, if someone is actively trying to spread this in other ways that we're not aware of, however those ways may be, this could cause a spike in casualties as well. So we don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm asking the question. And as you said, it always pays to ask questions because you never get any answers unless you do.
Eddie Yeranian, you're a gem. I got to tell you that. And you got a huge following on my show. People love when you're on. You're an absolute wealth of information. And I got a lot of listeners that'll text me and said, where's Ed been? God, we've been together 9 years, and this has been a really good segment. So I'm going to post this, Kiara, on our YouTube channel, and the title is going to be, Is the Muslim Brotherhood Spreading the Virus in the Middle East to Destabilize Governments? I mean, I tell you what, that is a great question. And Ed's just asking the questions. Right, Ed? You're asking the questions. That's what a journalist does, right? They ask questions. And that's a good one, Ed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.